only person that thinks about your business every single day is you. What you believe today when you go to sleep is what you will build on when you wake up tomorrow. Raising a startup of consequence takes an enormous amount of mental stamina and sacrifice. Be prepared for discomfort. It's a time when you cannot afford to not raise to the challenge of raising the bar. Pushing past limiting beliefs, insecurities, and seeing sacrifices for what they are essential to your survival. First opportunities only come once. When they do, grab them with both hands and give it everything you've got. What sets you apart is in the detail. Don't work to other people's standards. You know what you're capable of. Keep yourself accountable to that higher standard. Don't settle for it's never been done before or we've always done it like this. Keep asking why. Keep pushing the norm. Make it your mission to crush the it cannot be dones. If you want to grow, raise employees before you raise your own salary. You're only as good as the collective of the team and the output you can deliver on a consistent basis. Your team and your clients will give you the biggest education you will ever need if you let them. Keep your ear on the ground and your heart close to their needs. Watch your blind spots. When you live, breathe, and eat and sleep what you do, and you absolutely love it, it's easy to lose perspective. Make time to step back and view your part in the collective as a whole. Get involved in the industries you serve. Support your fellow businesses and give back. When one does well, all does well. Lastly, ask for help. You have an entire collective of high-performing individuals available to you to help when you need it. So let's take a look at what lifting the lid on raising the bar looks like to them.
During COVID 2020 and 2021, our business grown by almost 50%. My 5 tips on how to raise the bar. 1. You must have a goal, a purpose, a why, or even an enemy, like Nike wanted to crush Adidas. Every person is different. You must have one or a combination of these, but have something that gets you up in the morning and drive you to succeed. 2. Attitude. You must believe that you'll get a positive outcome. You need to believe you can win and succeed. 3. Focus on things in your control. What is the key success factors that is needed to be successful and is in your control? Fuel prices, Putin's war decisions, and interest rates is not in your control. What is the 3 to 5 max things that you have to do on almost a daily basis to succeed? Ian Gray written The Common Denominator of Success. He said successful people have the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. What is these habits for you? 4. Slay the dragon. We all have dragons, that self-imposing beliefs that holds us back. Is it public speaking? Is it prospecting? Is it telephoning? Whatever it is, create a plan to slay the dragon. No one said you have to do it alone. Get a coach or mentor to help you, or even a partner to do it with you. Number 5, the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. Get started today. Every small step in the right direction helps, and it's better than doing nothing. It is not about getting bigger, but it's about getting better on a daily basis. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Raising the bar in the financial services industry means raising standards. It means that you actively, proactively, and deliberately focus on raising the bar every single day by implementing higher standards into your financial planning practices, not just for the greater good of your client, but also for the greater good of the financial services industry. As the financial services industry, we have been lifting standards for over 20 years by now, and this was since the Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services Act, in short, the FASE Act, came in. What followed the FASE Act was various board notices like the General Code of Conduct for financial services providers, its key individuals and representatives, for instance. This movement of continuously raising the bar within the industry, of course, then continued with the 55 Retail Distribution Review, or shortly known RDR proposals, that came in about 2014. Now, this then gives effect to treating customers fairly. Most of these proposals, if not all, have been implemented into, for instance, the General Code of Conduct, for instance. We also saw the birth of the Financial Sector Regulation Act as well as the Insurance Act. The FSR Act, in short, gave birth to the Conduct Authority and the Financial Sector Conduct Authority that had replaced the FSB since about 2017 or 2018, if I recall correctly. Raising the bar movement within the industry to this day still continues with the dawn of, for instance, the COFI Act. For those who doesn't know what COFI stands for, it is the Conduct of Financial Institutions. Once COFI comes in, it will of course be followed by the conduct standards that will come in. Now, COFI, together with TCF, takes a very principle-based approach, which means that financial services providers within the industry, as well as the individuals within the industry, must focus on the controls, the measures and the procedures that's in place to give effect to not just the letter of the law, but also the spirit of the law. Raising the bar as an industry means that every single person and organization in the industry must focus on lifting standards to achieve better outcomes for those relying on our services, our knowledge, and our expertise. As a collective within the financial services industry, we raise the bar, in other words, by raising standards for the greater good of all.
In my opinion, raising the bar is to hold myself to a standard far higher than average. We are a measure of our own efforts. How others see us and how we see ourselves is derived from what we do on a consistent basis. Do we show up every day? And I mean really show up? Do we do what is required of us all the time, or only when we feel like doing it? When I started in financial services almost 14 years ago, my driving force was to be the best I can be. I wanted anyone who had any sort of dealings with me to see my passion, to feel my care, and for them to know that working with me is the best decision they can make. This could be product providers, service providers, clients, and industry colleagues. And I found inspiration from others' success. And I wanted to learn what they did. The first ever session I had with someone who was doing it the right way in my eyes showed me that we don't work in the insurance industry, but rather in the financial planning profession. My fire was now lit. My bar was being raised, and there was no one that was going to stop me. From that day on, I craved to learn how to be a respected and revered financial planning professional. I was going to raise my bar, not from a production point of view, but from my work ethic, my commitment and my dedication. My hunger to learn and be the best that I could possibly be was what I decided that day. I would celebrate my small wins, knowing that the journey ahead is long and immensely challenging. I kept saying to myself, it'll be worth it. Don't give up now. Today, I can proudly say it is all worth it. The long hours, the continuous improvement, the unwavering commitment to my vision, and to be the best that I can be for all who work with me in one way or another. It is seldom easy, ladies and gents, as we know, but it can always be rewarding. Those who said it was not possible and I would fail had to get out of my way, or fear for being hit by my bar. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and you were either there to help me or you got left behind. I used COVID lockdowns to my advantage and catapulted my business and practice to new heights. For me, it was all about giving far more than receiving. Find someone to mentor you. Find someone who's going to invest in you. Follow their teachings. Show them that you are truly committed and are really going to put in the effort. Remember, you have to show up each and every day. If we are truly committed and dedicated, nothing should stop us. I live by the fact that life is not a dress rehearsal and failure is not an option. So let's raise the bar, let's grow our profession, and let's be proud of each other.
I know the client is not always right, but a business that is not client-centric will truly battle to raise the bar. That said, it is our sincere belief that it takes a team effort to raise that bar. At ComSpace, we want to think that every single team member has a finger on the raising of that bar. The whole collective team should experience the pain and the joy from raising the bar. And have I mentioned that they are very rarely gained without significant pain? If you're an athlete and you succeed and you're that high jumper that soar over the bar just gets to be set higher. In business, however, when you hit that bar and it topples on you from a dizzy height, it's horrible. But that is where the growth happens. I know it feels like failure. Believe me, we've had our hard times. But what we've done is we've always come back and we've managed to put the bar back higher. It is only through those tough times that you really grow. There's nothing more rewarding than not giving up and to jump again. And we've also learned that it was in those times that the strength of our team became most apparent. A team raising the bar never takes away the role of leadership though. Put people in positions where they can soar. People checking out because they don't feel needed, appreciated, or challenged, or setting people up for failure by not playing to their strength is expensive and inefficient. Intentionally foster a judgment-free environment where people feel safe to speak up. We almost demand our team to challenge the status quo. Build and strive to become a cohesive team. We aim to create a culture where teamwork and collaboration is celebrated. And lastly, and in my opinion the most important, be an empathetic, honest, and trustworthy leader. People don't care how much you know. They just want to know how much you care. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Rizanne. That was awesome. Great opening keynote for this session. So up next, we have a panel discussion on leadership. And again, we have a phenomenal panel. All the panels are freaking phenomenal. But we have Nici Macdonald. She's the head of certification over at the FBI. And she is going to be the facilitator. And we have Lelané and Igno on this panel to talk about leadership and really how we can move into the future, through mentorship and support. So really looking forward to this session.
Hello and good morning, everybody listening, and hello to Lelané and Igno. Let's have a conversation this morning and have some fun.
Absolutely. Hi, Nici. Hi, Eve.
Hi,
lovely
there.
to see you.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. So let's get this going. Today, we are going to chat about leadership, specifically leading the future through mentorship and support. Now, there's three big things that stand out here for me. The first one is leadership, then mentorship, and the third one, support. So let's start with the leadership. Igno, what is the definition of a leader? How do you define it? What is leadership?
Nici, thank you. There are three ships on the horizon, and then the one that's in front is the leadership. So it's not actually quite how that is, but leadership is such an overrated term. So many books written on leadership, so many books on the top 10 lists. If you go out, The Leader Without a Title, Robin Sharma, John Maxwell's books are always, but where are the leaders? I mean, if you look at all the leadership, why are countries and the world in the state that it is? I think the definition of leadership to me is literally people who have got the kind of vision, the dream, they're working towards it, and they don't wait for the title, the power, or the people to tell them what to do and others what to do. But I think the definition for leadership for me then is literally hidden in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in the first 2. Know where you're going. In other words, begin with the end in mind, and then obviously be proactive.
Lelané, what is the difference then? Is a leader a mentor? Is a mentor a leader? How would you define it?
Yeah, it can be both. It's just when I started talking about the 3 ships, you know, I had the dromedaris in mind but it's leadership, it's mentorship. I agree. Nici, being in leadership is also a conscious decision that you make. You know, if and I want to just quickly latch on to what I said before I move into your question. Now, leadership is really a conscious decision. It has to be something that you are up to and willing to do. You know, and leadership really takes a lot of giving of yourself. My style, and for those who knows me, my leadership style is a servant leader. I'm not here for the title. I'm not here for it's about leading people. It's about setting a very clear business plan with clear targets, clear deliverables in terms of what you need to do. In my world, it's in terms of moving the financial planning profession forward, not just on a local scale, but definitely on a global scale as well. So let's just quickly then dive into your question, Nici. Is there a difference between leadership and mentorship? The answer is yes. But can a leader also be a mentor? The answer is also yes. So being a mentor is truly understanding the person that you are mentoring, and coaching. Coaching also comes in. So you can never divorce the mentoring and the coaching that comes in. And mentoring as a leader is giving a little bit of yourself, of which is the most important time. If you're going to mentor somebody, make sure that you give that person the time and attention that they need. Never ramble it off. Never just say, oh my goodness, it's 12 o'clock. It's time to mentor Nici now again. Make sure that you've got a good conscious plan in place with the person that you're mentoring. So yes, there is a difference because the focuses are a little bit different. And you can have a mentor that's a leader and a leader that's also a mentor. But sometimes it does sit in 2 different persons. In fact, you could have more than one mentor. I have 4 very specific mentors in my life, of which, believe it or not, my husband is one. But back to you, Nici.
Thank you, Lelané. Now, all of us on this panel, without, if we want to be honest, are a little bit older than the younger generation. We have to deal with
yourself.
In any case, is there a difference in how mentors and leaders are perceived by the younger generations? Igno? You have any idea of that?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'd also like to add to what Lelané was saying before I go. That's the role of the mentee. She talks about having 4 mentors, but she's probably chosen those 4 mentors, which is something that leaders often do. They choose mentors. People who are not natural leaders will think, okay, I am the leader. I know what's going on. I don't need anyone to open. But if to open the world for me. But if you are a person who are looking for mentors, you don't have to be in a leader position at all. And a mentor could be in a book. It could be a historical figure. It could be a real person. But menteeship is a verb. And a mentee should never become a burden on a mentor, where you expect the mentor to do stuff and tell you stuff. What a mentor actually does, they make available their resources and their networks. They're not there to do the work and guide you, because if you're looking for a guide or a wizard to do the work for you, you're going to be a terrible mentee. So that's just coming back to that. And then so for me, there's a huge difference there. And then I just want to quickly come specifically back to your question. So I just want you to share your last question again, Nici.
Talking about different generations. I mean, we've got a certain idea of a mentor and a leader, but it is very different for the millennials and the Gen X's and everyone who comes after them. How do they perceive it, and how do we make sure that we can lead and mentor these people?
Yeah, I'm going to hear what Lelané has to say about this as well. But from my side, I think the older generation is a fascinating generation, because most of the older generation have been let down by leaderships, by ideas, by what they bought into, what they were convinced was right, what they were doing. And the younger generation have looked at this older generation and said, well, firstly, you drove your butts off from 8 to 5, sat in traffic, and thank heavens COVID has even convinced you that it's not always necessary. But why couldn't you decide it on yourself? Why did you need a virus? Because we were telling you. You know, I mean, before the pandemic, our grandchildren would probably have asked us, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, did you really all go to work at the same time and go back home at the same time and all stuck in traffic? So we were not a very intelligent bunch, because we depended on leaders. I think the millennials are there. We say they take up the leadership role and they say, well, we're not going to do what you've done. Now, the sad part of this is, I think we're at a big vacuum in terms of leadership at the moment, especially globally, where we're trying to find leaders. And I think the main thing would be for people the first place to find a leader is to look inside and find the leader within you who can make a difference about the rubbish that's dumped in front of your house, who can put it back in the black bag and make sure that you live up to your value system and you respect yourself and your area, and then go broader and wider. And but I see Lelané's nodding her head,
I'm just smiling, and for some reason, what popped in my head was we used to send faxes. Yes, we did. But Nici, just reflecting on your question, the youth I regard as millennials, your generation Zoomers. Are they looking at leaders and mentors in the same way? And I can only reflect on what I've seen. So I'm not a millennial. Hello, I wish I was. I'm not a Gen Z. But I'm very blessed to have a millennial and a Gen Z in my house. So I have a millennial son who's 26 years old, and I have a generation Zoomer who is 20 years old, and he had to go through the class of 2020 during lockdown. So do they look at mentorship and leadership in different ways? Yes. If I look at the millennial, leadership is somebody who can help the millennial set pace, set direction. Whereas the mentor is somebody that can give the millennial time. All the millennial want is really time. And I agree with you, Igno, it's a lot about what the mentee can bring to the relationship as well. Whereas the Gen Z, they almost, and this is just within my house, the Gen Zs are saying, millennials, you know what, we are already doing things different. I mean, if I just look at the way they do things, the millennial would have one screen like me. The Gen Z has got like 4 screens in front of him. He works at a much better pace, and he's most probably, or he is, if I look at the questions he asks, he is looking at me as a leader and a mentor in one person. Whereas the millennial is, you know what, I've got time, I'm a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser than the Z at the moment. I prefer having a leader and a mentor as well. So yes, they do look at leaders and mentors in different lights, but also even between the various generations they do. I mean, the difference in years between a Gen Z and a millennial is not that much. But if you look at where the millennials find themselves at this point in time, the millennials have alphas, and that's not an Alfa Romeo. It's alphas. That's what their children are being called. So we just need to be mindful of when you are a mentor for someone, be aware of the different characteristics of the various age groups. You are going to frustrate them if you use old technology, and if you insist on being in person, whereas a Zoomer just quickly wants to have an online meeting. And I actually just want to ask you a question. I don't want to have a meeting with you like a millennial would go to a coffee shop, even pay for your coffee. A Zoomer, I don't have time. I just want a quick online answer. So, yep, they do look at leadership and mentorship differently, Nici.
So, given that, how do you as a mentee find your mentor? What do you look at? Do you look at characteristics? Do you look at what do you look at? I mean, where do you start? It's this vast area. You've got so many people that can help you. What do you do first? Lelané, let's give back to you, seeing as we're chatting so nicely now.
Sure. I am going to quickly read from a book, and I had to giggle when I read this. I got this book, Lean In, and yes, I'm a bit of a bookworm on leadership books. Yep, Max got all the books lined up here, and quite a lot more there. But this one I found, it was a gift from a very dear friend who works with me at the FPI. And being Women's Month, I'm going to say this is the Lean In book from Sheryl Sandberg. And she writes a little piece in chapter 5 where she says, "Are you my mentor?" Now, I really had a good giggle. She says, "When I was a child, one of my favorite books was Are You My Mother?" This is the story of a baby bird that emerges from its shell and discovers an empty nest. So the hatchling then heads off in search of its missing mother, asking a kitten, a hen, a dog, and a cow the burning question, "Are you my mother?" And each animal says no. The hatchling then grows more desperate, eventually shouting, "Are you my mother?" Just imagine this little bird on the farm. So, "Is she my mama?" And then then he eventually shouts at a car, a boat, a plane, and even a steam shovel, where they only said, "No, we're not your mother." Stuck in the shovel's jaws, the hatchling then appears doomed. Until miraculously the shovel lifts the little bird back into its nest. And then the mother returns, and the hatchling then announces, "You are a bird. You are my mother." So, what is the moral of the story of this poor little bird who even asked the boat if you're my mother? The issue is, are you my mentor? You cannot just, let's say you've had Igno on stage talking about mentorship, and he's talking to a room of about 50 people, and then all 50 people storming to the stage to, "Are you my mentor? Are you my mentor?" And he's going to say most likely no to all 50. And why is that the case? Because there needs to be a mentor-mentee match. You need to find someone that has something in common with you. Now, with a little bird, his mom looked like him. So you're going to have to find as a mentee somebody that has the same interest at heart than you. Somebody that maybe not 100% the same, because you are going to have to find an area where that person can mentor and coach you. But I think as mentees, when you are looking for a coach, you have to do your homework. And for starters, and maybe we can talk about that, Nana, but I do want to touch on knowing yourself first. You cannot expect your mentor or your mentee to know you if you don't know yourself. You have to do a lot of homework about yourself first. But at the risk of taking all the minutes, Nici, I'm handing back to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to hand straight over to Igno, because I know that he is very passionate about the self-awareness and how you approach what you need. I mean, how do you identify what you need in a mentor, Igno?
I think, first of all, Nici, the most powerful word in leadership today is probably curiosity. Now, whether that be self-leadership or leadership, you need to be curious. I mean, people used to be stuck in their own industries until Steve Jobs totally disrupted the music industry by crossing the boundaries from the computer industry and, lo and behold, messing up what we knew as the Walkman and turned it into the iPod. And he learned lessons from the fashion industry, and he made it expensive as well. Now, when you're curious, let's say you're a mentee, you cannot just look at the person who knows. You should look into the unknown. In the old story structure, you know, the hero had the calling, and then they found the wizards, and they found the guides, and they found all those things, and they fought the monsters. The millennials, the Gen Zs, us, when we go out, we don't know what the monsters are going to be, whether it's going to be artificial reality, virtual reality, COVID, whatever. No. And I think we need to be much more excited about that. You know, people often talk about change. Now I often, when I work with leadership, I work with photography. You want the light to change all the time. You don't, you know, sometimes it gets a bit dark, you know, sooner than you wanted, because you're so excited about what you're doing. We've lost the energy, the passion. By the way, I see the new buzzword is almost the passion economy, where people do what they're passionate about, where people go online because they can now globally train other people. And I think if I have to advise both Zoomers and Boomers and Xers and Yers and Z, the whole alphabet, I would tell them, consistently be curious about what you find yourself energized by, because that's a clue as to what you're passionate about. You might do this for 2 years, that for 3 years, but as a leader, I would love, and as a mentor, I would love someone who's passionate about something, because I can find the information anywhere, but passion is transferred. Now, please just don't Google passion economy, because you might find other stuff if you don't put a plus between the two. So yeah, back to you, Nici.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ask this question to Igno while we're on this. So practically, how do I do this? I want to find someone with the same passion as I do. Do I find one person? Do I find more than one person? Where do I find them? How do I structure the mentorship? Is it forever? Does it stop? Give me a few tips. How do I get this started?
Okay, and you talk about self-knowledge as well. Well, I think the first thing is find out who's the best in the world and try to associate with them. It used to be said that your gauged, your energy and your life is gauged by the people you meet and the books you read. Now, who are the 5 people you spend most time with? And that's going to give you an indication as to where your energy is. We all know these people who are marvelous at complaining. They come to every barbecue and they know everything that's wrong, not only in South Africa, they know globally what's wrong. And you need to avoid that. So globalization doesn't only mean the world opener. Globalization means I can now contact the best in the world. And if they're uncontactable, if I can put it that way, I can find out who associates with them. That whole thing about LinkedIn and the 6 pixels of separation, that everybody's just 6 people away, that old thing. I think it's shifted. But what you can also do, find the communities where you have a sense of belonging. Deliberately find those communities, join them, link in on Zoom with them, connect with the people. Just don't expect everything to happen immediately. Build a good relationship. It's a different skill in the online world. Add value to someone's life. Comment on their work, but know what it is you want. Otherwise, you're going to waste other people's time. So make a point of being open. We so used to, focus says focus. I'm always saying focus, but we can put on a wide angle lens because, you're so focused. We used to have, our generation come from the generation that used to say, you learn more and more about less and less, from honors degree to MA degree to PhD, more and more about less and less, so that eventually you know everything about nothing. When the kids wanted to think in different paradigms, we said they had ADHD and we started feeding them all kinds of medicine and stuff. Those kids are the kids that's taking us into the world right now. They need to be ADHD because they need to say to us, listen, yes, you're doing okay in your industry, but have a look at what's happening elsewhere. And we're going to say, no, focus on our industry. No, look what's elsewhere. We need these scouts. I'm so excited about the future because the future is the next sunset we're going to photograph. Sorry, Nici, I went on a bit of a tangent. But
no,
so much.
I love that. And I'm with you on the future. I think if I just look at my kids as well, I can see where we're going here. And it makes me extremely excited. Lelané and Terence also in the previous segment made a comment about if I'm a mentee, there has to be some commitment from my side as well. It just can't come from one side. What's the responsibilities? What's the mentor's responsibilities? But what is the mentee's responsibilities and how do you manage it?
Absolutely. So I think with a mentee, you can't simply just pitch whenever you want to. You need to understand that sometimes you are given homework. You are given homework to either do research or go and find out something more. And the reason why the mentor does that is the mentor wants you to sometimes discover something yourself. It's very easy to give to somebody, here's the exact recipe. This is how you do it. But there is no exact science. There is no exact recipe. And me and you can share the exact same recipe on how to build a chocolate cake or bake a chocolate cake. Rather, you can see I'm not a cook or a baker. But in any event, if we had the same recipes, I can guarantee you the cake's going to look different because you apply different skills, different experiences. Mine will most probably be a complete flop, but that's why I buy it. But it will be different. So a mentee needs to honor the relationship. And I think if I can leave that with the mentees today, is honor the relationship that you have with your mentor or mentors. I mean, like I've mentioned, I've got 4 different mentors, and I dare not go back to either of them because they will ask me, Lelané, the last time we spoke about this, were you able to find out more about it? Did you read up more about the topic? And always remember that the mentee sometimes becomes the mentor, but the mentor sometimes is also the mentee. And I think what we need to realize is that with the intergenerational, the lines are so blurred, but yet the technology is so vastly different. If I look at my son, who's 26 years old, so the amount of stuff that he taught me by using technology, and there was my mentor. We must be open-minded. The fact that you're a certain age doesn't mean that I now know everything and nobody can teach me anything. I think I want to say, Nici, that a mentee could be an 18-year-old that is a mentor. I've got the other way. A mentor could be somebody that's 18 years old, and that could be a mentor to a mentee that's 65 years old. So to answer your question, a mentee, pitch, be prepared, but also, and I want to just maybe take 900 steps back. A mentee needs to first, and that's what I touched on now, you need to know yourself. So, I mean, I am now, and I'm shy saying how old I am, I'm almost 48. And to this day, there's still elements about myself I still need to discover. You're like, oh, this is how I react when you push that button. So everybody has got different ways of reacting to certain circumstances. So as a mentee, get to know yourself, understand what makes you tick, have self-awareness. Self-awareness is understanding and knowing what effect you have on other people. Do you have a good effect or a bad effect on people? But then also social awareness. When you walk into a room of people, are you aware what's happening in the room? So work on yourself and skills, work on your emotional intelligence skills. And only once you as a mentee understand yourself, it's so much easier for you to go and find a mentor that will help you. And I like what Igno said, I'm so tired of focusing on the focus stuff that we need to focus on. That's another F word that I try to avoid. Have broad vision. And I think from a mentee, I think I'll leave you with a mentee's biggest responsibility is to honor the time that you have with your mentor, because you don't have all the time in the world with a mentor. Make the best of the relationship.
Absolutely. Igno, our time is almost done. Any concluding remarks from your side on this? Anything wise you can add for us before we're
I
done?
don't know about wise, but I think this striving for wisdom is what we're all looking for. In My Fair Lady, I think it's Eliza Doolittle who says, words, words, words. I'm so sick of words. I get words all day through from you. Just be mindful. Leader, manager, mentor, coach, psychiatrist, psychologist, they only words. Don't put too much meaning. Find someone you can learn from so that you can serve better. To go back to what Lelané was saying about servant leadership. Find someone you can learn from so you can serve better and live your passion, live your dream. And when you live your passion and dream, just make sure that it's a serving dream or passion, because we haven't even touched on values, and it's another over-abused word in the industry. A value could be, I respect no matter what, and I respect who and what, and I respect the time, therefore I'm going to shut up now.
No problem. Lelané, any conclusions from you?
Yeah, from my side, I think I want to leave everybody, whether you're a mentor, a leader, or a mentee, with the following: never get tired of doing good. Because that's where the value lies, in building a society and raising the bar as a collective. Thank you, Nici.
Then just from my side, I cannot agree more with what these two wonderful people have said today. I think if we just look in the FBI space, how extreme the need is for people coming into the industry. And now I'm talking people from other industries that come into financial planning, young people who've just graduated, older people that need to learn new skills, and we need to build a base of mentors that can stand up and say, I'm willing to do the work and spend the time and transfer my knowledge. So that's my last comment. Francois, I think we are 100% on time.
All right. Alrighty. So just a reminder, if you want to win that whole Profile Me giveaway of 10,000 Rand, you've got to do it whilst we are live, right? We've got to do the draw for that live here right at the end. So if you want that one, you've got to do it while we're here, and you've got to be when we get your name. So please go check out, go to purchases, just scroll down and look at the bonuses, and you could find a lot of interesting things there. Alrighty, so with that, the next session, really excited. I'm going to be on that panel, and we have Dr. Rufaro Mucheka as well as Adam Owen, and Louis van der Merwe is the facilitator, and we are going to be talking about building a unified global profession. Really excited for that one. And but before that, this wouldn't be possible without our sponsors and your support, obviously. But let's give you a minute to share some sponsor info with you.
Is the risk of building and managing your own risk-profiled investment solutions getting you down? Independent Investment Solutions has a solution for you. Access to totally independent investment solutions.
Wealth means different things to different people, and how your clients use their wealth to define their world is unique to them. Some clients have more complex needs than others. At Old Mutual Wealth, we offer no generalist solutions. We provide you with a number of specialist capabilities geared to creating a unique experience for your clients, putting their needs first and delivering an uncompromised service. Visit Old Mutual Wealth for more information. Take your wealth further.
And with that, let's take the summit further, and I'll see you in session 5. And so just click back to the schedule and go to session 5. I'll meet you there in a couple of minutes.